We are getting a bit of a substitution. I'm getting word from my resident analyst, Mr. Maxman, over on BTR as well, with Liquid being in for this match, replacing one of the twins, we believe. I would say most likely Luxy in this situation, just because of the way that he has been playing over the past couple of matches. I think that maybe get a little bit flustered. It's good to have a backup in terms of a substitution, so you can bring one of those players out, get them back into the fold, maybe give them the time they need to refresh, get a new perspective on the match as well. Liquid overall, very good player. I think that BTR will be playing a different game now with him in, though. I think Zuxi and Luxy both are really good fraggers on the team. You bring Liquid into the mix, though, it becomes much more of a tactical gameplay. I think he'll be playing much more of a passive long-range specialist for the team, but overall he has performed very well in the past for BTR, being a great stand-in throughout the years.
Hopefully they can get some good results in here as well. This is kind of a cruel playing path here, Blank. It's a cut across the southeast side of the map. Georgia Pole, very, very difficult to get to. A long, late drop, so potentially some backups being seen. Mad Bulls like to drop out towards Primorsk, so if they can pinch a couple of vehicles away on those South Farm Pachinki roads, they might be able to skirt over on there, but might be a little bit tricky, as there are a couple of other teams maybe looking to do the same thing. And a hard northern circle. Okay, this is going to be quite the dash for quite a...
Yes, it's a terrifically tough game now for a lot of these players, especially anyone that's decided to drop down towards Sosnovka military base. Getting out of there is going to be slightly more difficult. Not necessarily in the early game, as you'd expect Box or Titans, the Infinity, not to go for these bridge camps and instead head further north, but it does mean that you are right at the back of the queue here, with the plane dropping you off as far as possible from the nearest bus stop. This is pretty bad news for you, but I still think that DRS, particularly being kind of an edge team anyway, it works out in their favor. They don't have to think about heading too central early on, so I'm sure that they can play through this one easily enough.
Early doors as vehicles get distributed to the teams. Scream going for a swim early on, just takes a little bit of, wants to stay out of the way of R8 on their progress. Team Queso, we've had some good results. Well, certainly they had a good result in that last game, but it is not enough to see them safe just yet. We've left that part of the tournament where just one game will see you out of the bottom 5 into the part where you need to show consistent improvement to be able to rise up from the bottom. Like R8 that are going to really struggle to do that with the boundary that's already been set. If you consider Box Gaming is currently the last to get eliminated. If the Infinity get no more points, R8 still need to gain about 30 points over the remainder of the games, and right now they aren't that sort of performance to be able to get that point total.
No, that is becoming a big difficulty for them. I think R8, the fights that we see them take, and I think that you look at them between S2G and their drop in Paris Resort, getting eliminated twice in a row, and pretty much on that second time it being very succinct. You're worried, right? You're mega worried about that type of thing coming through. So I think for R8, I am not sure what they can do at this point. I think even getting into survival stage, it will be all systems go, panic systems on, red lights flashing in their little machine. So I think that they do need to figure something out going forward, because whatever it is, it's not working so far. Mad Bulls are in a similar spot, so I don't think R8 have too much to... don't have to feel too bad about this, honestly, because our other teams here who have been successful in the past, who are also really having a bad time. I mean, Team Queso, towards their end in the championships, they looked great, the first couple of days, but then fell off massively. So this just could be a case of, you're coming off a bad couple of games in the last couple of your tournaments. You're not sure what's going wrong. You come into PMGC. This is not really a place where you ideally want to be fixing things. So that is just how it happens sometimes. And really, you do need to pull yourself out of that bog at the bottom. But with only now, 8 matches to go, John, it's a little bit difficult.
Time out, you're right, for these teams. We have a halfway mark at the end of yesterday, and we're now closing in on the final quarter. So you cannot afford to let these games get away from you. It's all about getting consistent points now, and for a lot of these teams it will be about just getting into that survival bracket. A team like Bigatron, Egg on XI8, even Enigma Galaxy, it's about just staying consistent, getting, 8 points a game would be brilliant for the remainder of the tournament. That should see them safe, but even if they're putting up, 5 to 7 points a game, that is still going to be a result in terms of getting into those survival stages. It's the teams that are in the bottom and that are in the towards the tables that are going to look for those stand out where we might see a little bit more pop-off attempts.
Absolutely. And I mean, not to anamorph into negative Nancy here, there is a real world possibility when Enigma Galaxy actually drop into the elimination bracket. If they continually put up little to no points per every single game, eventually these players down towards the bottom from 12th downwards will start to catch up. I mean, even in the meantime, the Infinity and 4 rivals are really putting in the shift at the moment to get towards those end circles. Yes, they don't look dominant. Yes, they don't look like they're hitting those massive shots and fragging out of their absolute minds, but at least they're putting up those points. I think they realize how desperate of a time it is to be in that 10th to 11th bracket.
Hard northern shift after that plane, as we were saying before. Going to cause a little bit of a scrabble on that southwest side. We'll have to find their path and tread carefully across it. Don't want to wake the sleeping beasts that wait in the hills of Erangel around the Gatka fields. Ideal. Influence Kevin being spotted out by S2G, and now maybe S2G are going to be the next team take a little bit of their counter against Influence Kevin after Burram were able to take them down. Okay, that bike's going somewhere. No idea where, but we'll see it later. I get Storm under pressure from Box. Just trying to get out of there.
I really do feel like God just snatched that bike up, didn't it, for a second, and then replaced it with another one. MTech Storm players just like quite confused in that scenario as they get some kind of angelic bike instead, which now sends off into the distance.
They get off the bike and it's like, my work here is done.
And my work here is done. Goodbye. I now ascend. But yeah, so that's an interesting one. Either way, a lot of these teams do need to ascend, so some angelic assistance would be very, very helpful at this point in time. Though there doesn't seem to be too many Guardian Angels in this lobby at the moment. Everyone is just out for blood a lot of times. DRS still towards this position in 5th place. BTR, on the other hand, have slipped down, honestly, John. They have slipped down, not able to put up the same performances from the rest of the day, which is why, you are seeing this change up in terms of roster, bringing Liquid in. You try and make something work for the first 3 games. It doesn't, so you make a little bit of a change up here. And I think with BTR being in a fairly safe position, I think making these changes now with 8 games to go, totally fair.
Hopefully they're looking for a little bit more than fair, though. More glory than that. Circle just about to pop. That keeps the water in it. That's going to go really, really far north yet again. That's LGD in.
Sorry?
As well as S2G on the south side.
GLD are not playing this game. Game Lord will be seeing them later on. But yeah, very hard shift on the circle towards that northern side. Unfortunately, 4 rivals get absolutely pulled to bits on their crossing, but Pemburu at least is able to get somewhat of some shots back across. S2G Hamzy, goodness me, some beautiful shots over towards Tajovsky. And Federal is unable to send anything back their way. So again, Influence Kevin suffering today, not able to find those similar kind of performances. And being in Yaz as their start position with this kind of circle, it's very, very unfortunate that they take a tumble like this. In the meantime, S2G have managed to find their way all the way up into the center of this circle.
Box trying to navigate the ruins right now on the south side of the river at the head of the queue to try and move on in from this southwest cluster on the zone. Enigma Galaxy taking shots over towards Mad Bulls, not quite able to land over towards Zerich. Effect skills us all fleeing across the open ground, and Ralph's going to have to get on the bike, or the buggy as it is, in the foothills of Everest, regroup with the team. It's actually R8 to find the shots over towards Mad Bulls as they're still posted up on the north slowing everything down, and the Mad Bulls redirect almost immediately. They're going to give up the ghost on the player, try and go further out wide.
You know, I actually have a really good inkling of why Mad Bulls are not doing as well as we might expect them to. And I think it really does pass back into their early game play style, which they have not adapted to these new circle settings, which is just a case of we know how long they like to spend outside in the blue, and they come into these circles very, very late and then find themselves a path inwards. But they're used to more and more teams playing out on the outer edges, waiting to get in, looting as they move their way across. But with the speed of these shrinks in the early game and the amount of teams that are now just sending direct in towards the center of the circle, there is less and less cracks within the circle itself to kind of fumble your way through. And I think that's something that Mad Bulls were very good around that 15 to 17 minute mark, finding a very good spot within the circle later on. Now, though, none of those spots are available, and being out in the blue for this long, spending so much time rotating inwards and remaining out of dodge is no longer that good option anymore.
All right, spot. And take Storm and actually pull out Chicken from the buggy. Prestige.
They don't literally do that.
What?
They don't literally pull Chicken out the buggy, but
Well, you know
Chicken
what I mean.
does get knocked.
Yeah, exactly. They pull him out the buggy. Doesn't stay in the buggy. I mean, it wasn't his choice.
That's right. But there's no rotisserie chickens on the menu today, sadly.
Well,
Just a player named
Storm.
Chicken. Just a player named Chicken. More shots down towards MTech Storm at the moment as R8 consistently finds some of these knocks, which is great to see for them. Having a bit more of a good start to their game here, you know, holding out, waiting for teams, ensuring that they're clearing out their edges of the circle. I think this is a bit of a change of pace for R8. But a team that is a little bit frightening to play up against. I think one of their biggest issues is that they like to play these large splits and get a lot of off angles. They're typically very good at keeping each other alive in these situations, but if one player gets caught out, strategy somewhat comes apart, which is why you need My Name P and Tiger to be so pinpoint accurate, so very good when it comes to this gun skill, because any advantage they can take when taking all these off angles, they need to ensure that this strategy works.
Keeping themselves together with Infinity on the high ground. Certainly need to. BTR playing atop Stalber, finding a high ground position, posting up. It seems like that's what Bigatron have been doing for the last 4, 5, 6 games now. Didn't work out in the last time around, but this time they've pulled in Liquid. This is the substitution that we were talking about. Liquid for Luxy. And to be fair, Luxy had a couple of missteps in the last couple of games, so not too sure what's going on internally there, but it feels like a good decision from the outside perspective.
Yeah, a bit scary for BTR in the beginning of that game as well, considering they lost Jen Foster to a knock, but they're able to bring him back up to speed, and now they can play from that high ground up towards the eastern side of Stalbert. Happy days. R8 do take a knock to Mad Bulls. They both rotate in towards very similar positions after holding them out earlier on. Misery out in the open. I think that's a bit of a weird play, and our DRS do have somewhat of an advantage with the ability to get one of their players back up to their feet and the rest of BTR in not the best position to defend against this. Again, this is DRS playing that edge gameplay, and I think for Liquid now, it's a case of moving across towards the rest of his team and maybe gatekeeping the guys from DRS. With the circle moving in as well, it's going to be quite difficult for DRS to make their way in as a full 4. God, Liquid knocks himself.
Oh dear. Might
That's
be
a really big misplay coming through.
Might be out next to the team, though. Could be Rezable if he hopped out. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to be okay to go for. I think there was a response. Bigatron hopefully going to be able to pick that one back up. That's a nade and a second nade to follow it up from Influence Kemen. 3 players alive for the once top team. Busted back to second by Buriram, who now have a central position. And again, the circle shifts at them.
Another big 16th placer there for Nigma Galaxy. And again, this really does feel more and more likely that the guys from Nigma Galaxy might drop in towards those bottom brackets and be at risk of elimination. Mad Bulls realize they have to move. It's going to be a difficult move as well through many separate teams. Look, they have all 3 players at full HP as well as full vehicles, but they have to get a move on now because R8 is looking to make a similar run towards the circle as them.
LGD making their run, swinging down the south side. Looking fairly good in terms of the cover. Box playing in a small little ditch, but it does give you quite a powerful amount of sight and vision. The difficulty comes when someone gets close to it, because those nades do just find their way to you. LGD getting into the Wizard Tower there up the top, casting their spell over the south side.
Dangerous push coming through from Mad Bulls right now, and this is something they had to make work. They drop directly next to the guys from R8. Zerich takes a lot of damage. Monkey takes a bit of a tickle as well, but also in this area. Mad Bulls just need to find a place to stay, but Zerich already going down there to box. Luckily, Buradam able to support them somewhat whilst they get their player back up and ready to play. But this is dangerously close to a lot of separate teams. And with the amount of cover that's available in this kind of staged area of the map where it steps upward time and time again, so you're all playing on separate levels of the map, you know, it is comfortable enough to hold on to this area, even being this close to separate teams.
I get taking the shots over towards R8, but they're just behind that ridge line. Suppressing, if nothing else, slowing R8 down, forcing them to take fights on other angles. Could be useful with a number of teams in those hills near them. Force those fights to happen elsewhere. S2G, Razy knocked on the hillside. Smoke cover from the side and up the hill, as well from the buggy. As Kelsey puts bullets over R8's way, lands the SLR over onto Prestige, and that is the force that Buradam were exerting on them, forcing them into angles where they could be spotted from elsewhere. Oh.
Well, they're done. Zerich does find at least one from S2G. Chicken is cooked. Ha ha ha. Very good. Yeah, this was always going to be the biggest problem for Mad Bulls, though, is because S2G were going to be crashing into them first. The fact they're able to find that pick onto Silas so far out towards the edge of the zone, really important play for them. Instead, the rest of the team's going to head down towards that south side, try and pick up a compound to move through from. But Silas unlikely to pick back up again. Mad Bulls need a northwest shift again. This is a team that's desperate for some points. You know, Team Case are ahead of them by 74, Box at 81. If they can even these points up just a little bit this game, doesn't require chicken dinner. It does require like a top 5 though.
Nade in from break. Just may trade it off as a third-party engagement from S2G. S2G rallying down the hill. Mounting up and towards the ditch, the back turret, not quite finding the knock, but on the swivel they go. And S2G able to crash down. No knocks found out their way. Silas was out earlier, so they are only 3. Mad Bulls actually pinching that one away, seemingly. And Box will fall. S2G take up that position, but they're still under fire from everybody who was looking that way earlier.
So could be crashing up towards the top side of Mad Bulls. They drop another smoke to cover them from the north edge. Smart play here. Again, that northwest shift did come through. They're happy with this. More than likely with the amount of pressure that Buradam's been able to put on this lobby and how well they've been playing so far, this is looking more and more like a Buradam win. Again, though, LGD has been managing to find these little areas where they can sneak through time and time again, stealthy as they pad the footsteps through in towards the circle itself.
LGD repositioning there. Aegon IA have angles, but they're not taking the shots yet. Waiting for them to hop out. Oh, unscopes at just the wrong time. But it looks like they don't realize where the shots are coming from.
Annoying.
Oh, the mag is out as well. Gonna look for the spray. Actually tags that one. Mad Bulls in the meantime, under pressure from Ayala. One player down, Monkey left, lone player for Mad Bulls. This is not the game they wanted to try and convert with. Team Queso seemingly just taking 3 or 4 fights all at once. Multiple different angles. Monkey is able to find Ayala. Close range, UMP suppressed. And Team Queso won't be able to get back for that res. The point, I think, stolen away there, but Monkey stays alive and keeps going for Mad Bulls.
Essentially, Monkey's in a really difficult spot right now because that is a high priority position on the map above Budoram. So BTR, the rest of Team Queso, SK Tom might even want to crawl his way down there. And for Monkey, he needs to sort of leave at this point in time, get it towards himself, a better position where he can snake out the rest of the game. Remember, this team needs a top 5 at this point in time, and Monkey remaining here is not going to afford him that. He is protected by Budoram mainly. Budoram's mainly got their attention down towards that south side anyway, so BTR, Team Queso, all could be looking to take a position that Monkey's currently holding.
Shots from Zuxi over to Papi Potro, but takes some bullets in response. IQ hits the deck, but stays alive on a sliver. 10 bandages. Or Stims as well should keep them a little bit closer up. LGD just hiding away. These shots have been just sailing wide of the mark. Not quite finding the knock just yet, but finally MVM goes down. DRS are the ones to do it.
I mean, 20 minutes into the game with 12 teams alive is quite astonishing, but this is just because of the way the landmass is developing with these circles. There's a lot of positions on the map where teams can hide, where they can hold in the tree lines, or there's ditches to play around in. Next circle will be shifting though. We'll see where this one does head. See if it supports Budoram a little bit more. It does indeed, and now Monkey's position massively compromised. These teams from the north will be 100% looking to pick up that spot to try and deny Budoram a little bit of pressure towards that end game. Liquid, though, sprays through the smoke, finds at least one towards Team Queso.
Well, now is the time to prove you're a worthy substitute for Luxy. Last player standing against Scream for Liquid. Slows it down, fades through the smoke and gets the shot. Excellent targeting there on the ball. And now the last player alive. What more can you do? You have to push in from the north. The blue zone about to start closing in as well. There's teams in your way who will not allow you to exert that pressure. Budoram, 4 players up, playing in one of the strongest spots.
Good news for Budoram. I mean, they were hoping that there wouldn't be a team on that northern side that would be able to take shots down towards them. Now it's only Monkey alive, and his main priority is just living. IA has been taking shots over towards LGD the entirety of this game, and LGD has been completely unaware of where these bullets are coming from. Now just YZZ on his loans from the rest of his team on bended knee. MVM most likely to just bleed out here at this point in time.
Oh, that was brutal. Getting rolled down there, just clambering around the side of the rock face. Like a horror film, that one.
DRS, LGD, DRS looking to hopefully leapfrog LGD at this point in time. Maybe get a 4th place. S2G still going strong though, 148 points, looking to secure this position for themselves in 3rd place. Monkey has a nade out, looking to hopefully keep these players on the northern side at bay. YZZ with the DP. Maybe he wants to take some shots down towards IA, but this is not how LGD assumed that this would go down. Again, it's right at the bottom of the lip as well. So right in the middle of the circle, maybe not the best place to be, does afford you a little bit of pressure in terms of finding all the teams around you. But in the case of LG, they were spotted by absolutely everyone else here, John. A rough move from here. Liquid taken down. Smoke goes out. So right now, Monkey safe from practically everything. This is really good news for him. Looks to ladder up a little bit more because everyone around him, Team Queso, Box, the Infinity is still going, but Mad Bulls can now start to try and ladder up at least a little bit. 8 teams left. It's not quite enough as of yet. Would love to get himself towards a top 4 finish, but I don't know how likely that is at this point in time with so many teams with really good spots to play.
Budoram, 4 players alive, still playing with cover. If they can dispatch the Infinity, it will be an excellent position for them. Federal for Influence Kemen, trying to keep themselves in the game. The top 5 teams still in this one, Blank. So still a lot of points going to be funneling up their way. And that's going to make the 3rd place bubble a little bit harder to achieve for some of the teams that went down earlier, like Bigatron, like Titan. But they got XI8, 6 eliminations. They've had a good game. DRS 3 on 6 eliminations. And they are still going from the southeast side with one of the better plateaus in this next circle.
Yeah, circle moves down towards LGD, so they might be able to get some more points up, just snaking this one in. Federal on his lonesome. Monkey right on the edge of the blue here. Will have to move shortly in about 20 seconds. And I think Kengzo has spotted at least one of them, looking to clear him out. Has a nade, though. Might be able to toss it over in their direction. Monkey, historically, always amazing with these grenades. And if you can clear out at least Kengzo, it means they might be able to get a little bit further into this zone. 8 teams alive, though. It is looking a little bit dire. But everyone else has to move in too. So Monkey's not on his own with this similar problem.
A slow crawl. You have to question whether Buriram know of the presence of this player as well. If you've been quiet for that long, sometimes it's easy to just forget about the position. Kelsey's legs are sticking out, but you can't take those free shots without getting some lead sent back your way. There's plenty hot enough to take you down on those cliff faces. But here comes Monkey, steps up for one. My name P now on the back lines and dispatches. Kengzo completely rips his attention away, but with it, S2G have managed to find that opening. The knocks on the back line and Monkey's done the job. Mad Balls might be out, but S2G have a chance now to take on the Titans at the top. And Nate down the hill keeps them safe, and Kengzo is holding this team together right now. He is like glue for this squad. Kelsey puts a nade up high. It goes a little bit too far towards the sky. The sky only knows how to deal with that. Drops down to the deck. Kengzo putting more in around the side as well. What a guy for the squad. Buriram absolutely singing his praises right now. They're going to owe him a lot after this game.
He's kept everyone up and kicking. Hamzy G, though, similarly, one hell of a player. Now just looking to try and ladder up as much as possible. But it's YZZ from underneath. Picks him up with the M4. And his central position, yeah, it didn't afford the rest of his team much survivability, but he remained out of dodge. Was away from the team, able to snake this one out. But I'm most likely going to take this chicken dinner home from what was an insane plateau to play. Still, LGD could still get a second place in this game, get further towards above S2G, and this has been one hell of a comeback from them over the past couple of days.
They started the game at 4 points behind S2G. They're even on the elimination counts right now. So how much longer can you survive? Either way you look at it, it's going to be a dent in that small gap. They will remain very much level. Unless they can push all the way up to second or something like that, that would be phenomenal. But Buriram have turned their attention their way. And the team from Thailand has been absolutely on the money. Sky only backed off by the Infinity. Logan.
It's too
two
far.
players alive.
He's got 6 grenades. I don't think YZZ's living through this, but the nades are still coming through thick and fast. He's only got bandages. Goodness me, just need to get the arc a little bit lower there. Delta takes a huge amount of damage. Still LGD gets some ladders up, and he's doing this with just bandages and stims to boot. There's hardly anything available to him. They know he's there.
I mean, the massive thing about it is that he's right in the slap bang center of the circle, which means it is going to close that way. Likely that you're going to be able to just stay in cover, get up to second place with the Infinity curtailing any of these pushes with the sightlines they have. They might be able to slow it down, but now it's God Tunny. Can God Tunny find the shots over onto YZ? Can he get the angle? Or is he just going to be able to bide his time? Finally, My Name P is able to move into a position to burn him out. And LGD flood out the back and are picked up. Third place, potentially able to jump up into third, but Buriram are going to find yet another chicken dinner. The team from Thailand are dominating. Their race on up the tables is incredible.